And it's becoming eco-embedded. That's a new term, eco-embedded. Embedded into our lifestyle, embedded into companies. And so even cities are going green, and we'll see in a little bit that cities often are leading the way in this initiative. And states are following, and in the United States, the government is federal government's a little bit far behind. And you look at even green countries. Costa Rica, by the way, by 2021 will be the first carbon neutral country on the planet. And so even countries are jumping onto this bandwagon. We're seeing green homes. This Citizen Renew is an incredible company. They're starting off this year, and what they're doing in the United States is they are renting solar panels. And their concept is look, if you had to go out and buy a solar panel, it's $40,000. And it's kind of like, would cell phones have taken off if you had to go and buy a cell phone and spend $10,000 to build the network? The answer is no. Cell phones would have never taken off. So they put together this incredible company where if you go on their website, citizenre.com, you can, as a consumer in the United States, and by the way, they're building their solar panel factories right now. But the concept is really cool. They will lease you solar panels. They send an engineer out. Cost you, by the way, $500 deposit. That the deposit is kept for the life of the contract and returned to you at the end of the contract with interest. And so you spend $500, they send an engineer out, looks at your energy needs to determine how many solar panels you will need and where they will put them. And then they install them for $500. And you then pay, depending upon the number of panels, a monthly lease charge or rental charge, $50, $75, $100. And what happens is you pay that for either a year, 5 years, or 25 years, depending upon which contract length you choose. Now, if you choose the 25-year, which is the smartest, because that rate then that you pay will be the same for 25 years. And by the way, if you ever want to say, oh, get rid of my solar panels or I'm selling my house, if you sell your house, you can move the panels one time. And so for free, they will move them to your new house. But if you just want to walk away from the deal, say, or you can sell them, by the way, the contract to the new owner of the house, or you can walk away and you'll lose $500. Maximum exposure. But the really cool thing I found out about it is that I'd always thought that solar power, I mean, like any energy, had to be used or lost. And so you had to have batteries to store it overnight and all that stuff. Well, no, this is really cool. It hooks into your electric meter. And during the day when the sun is shining, it runs your meter backwards. It sends electricity back to the grid and runs your electric meter backwards. And then at night when you come home and flick on your electricity, it runs your meter forwards. And you still have an electric bill to pay to the electric company, but based upon the amount of solar energy that you're generating, it can reduce your electric consumption considerably, your electric bill, because most of your electricity will be coming from solar power. Just one of the incredible innovative concepts out there. Also, we're seeing for consumers and also for businesses, we're seeing windmills. The one on the right there, new design, rooftop design. This could be put on pretty much any house. It's 6 kilometers of wind is all you need to run it. And it is absolutely amazing. Mike will show you some of the windmills that he's using or will be using very shortly on top of his store a little bit later on. We've also, all retailers, not all retailers, but many retailers are going green. And so we see Walmart, we see Barney's even. Barney's had a great green segment this particular Christmas. A whole green promotion, a great video on their web. Incredible commitment to the environment, and clearly REI. Also green awareness. We now have carbon zero credit cards. So every time you charge gas, they will buy carbon credits back. Again, fantastic idea. Also, it's being embedded into our lives clearly. Right here in New York City, interestingly enough, starting this summer, any store over 5,000 square feet in size will have to have a plastic bag recycling bin within the store. And so more and more retailers are not saying paper or plastic, they're saying neither of the above. In other words, bring your own bag. And there's an opportunity for a lot of retailers, and a lot already have jumped on this, to create their own reusable shopping bags for customers. Also, again, we just found out New York is kind of leading the way on this. By the year 2012, all New York City cabs will be hybrid cabs. That's absolutely amazing commitment that the city of New York is making to cleaning up the environment within this city. And so governments in many cases are giving people no choice. And that's a good thing. Because you'll see later on, there's still some question about the cost and the price of all of this for companies and for people. And we'll see in a minute how a lot of, about 50% of the population is saying, well, I'll buy green as long as it doesn't cost me anymore. But when it becomes a regulation, big, big difference. And so what I'm asking you today is to hop on this green bus, is to get on it. And because it is going to and has to make a difference in our planet. And by the way, what I hope to convince you of, it will also make you more money, make you more sales, and make you sleep better at night. The economics of it, this is clearly the age of the environment. It's on the top of everybody's mind. We're talking about it all the time. Consumers, we've gone from 28% awareness to 41% in the last 4 years. More and more consumers are starting to wake up to the fact that, look, when it's 75 degrees in the city of New York the first week of January, something is going on. And we're seeing these weather patterns, and consumers are starting to get afraid. And we see a $230 billion market to 60 million educated and affluent consumers. And I'll talk about them in a few minutes. There is a growing number of, particularly, interestingly, two generations, baby boomers that I'll talk about in a few minutes, and also Gen Y. And by the way, Gen Y is spurring a lot of it because they're telling their parents, you got to stop doing this. And their parents are concerned about their grandchildren and what kind of world they're going to be living in. So we're seeing huge opportunities there. And I believe that that $17 billion in venture capital investments, I think that's low. I think that's low. But that's the current estimate. I think there's going to be a huge amount of venture capital flowing into this market. And as a matter of fact, Vice President Gore has started his own venture capital firm to fund an awful lot of these initiatives. So there's trillions of dollars of opportunity here. It's not just a niche. It's not just a flash in the pan. It is the future. And that's what everybody's got to get into their head, that this is not just the trend du jour. You come here to NRF and you hear about all these new technologies, all these new ideas. Heck, I sat out in the audience 7 years ago when some clown up on the podium was pounding it and yelling that the internet was going to bury every brick and mortar retailer. By the way, that was boo.com, and they were out of business 6 months later. We know that this is not trend du jour. This is really serious stuff. And if we don't start doing something about it, we're going to be in big trouble. And so there's pressure from inside and outside to do it. And I believe we're starting to see in some companies a new position called the sustainability officer. And that is somebody who is in charge in the company of actually making this stuff happen and work. Interestingly enough, it also leads to better products. In a survey of 600 small business owners, 2/3 said they would pay more for environmentally friendly goods and services. And they're noticing that even when they do pay more, surprise, surprise, they often end up with a better product. Absolutely amazing. And everybody seems to like it. I apologize, that slide's a little bit difficult to read, but again, download it and have a look at it. I find that this one here is amazing. 91% of consumers say they consider switching if they learned about a company's negative practices. Okay, so if you're not committed because it's the right thing to do, you better get committed, because if you don't start doing it, consumers are going to start walking away from you. They are going to start walking away. And so it's a win-win strategy.